Hey everybody, I'm Jesse, and welcome to another edition of Gen X Thinks. And today I'm going to talk about 3 ways society will implode during an apocalypse. And I get some feedback from different people about, how society will go back to normal in just a few days if the grid went down or whatever. We just kind of hang out and wait to go back to work. And I just don't buy into that. I think that society will melt down and it would just be chaos and anarchy within a couple weeks at the most, at the very most. My first reason for this is what's happening in the aftermath of Hurricane Helene right now. And we just had a hurricane rip through the South, and the death toll the last time I checked was about 100, maybe a little over. 100 people have lost their lives so far. Countless people without power. People have lost their homes. It was just a devastating storm for a lot of people. And when I think about that kind of stuff happening, as I've seen it happen here in Florida quite a bit, and I think about, because I grew up in an era where there was a unity in our country, patriotism. We were all just one big family back in the 70s and 80s. Well, I mean, we had our differences, don't get me wrong, but still we had that one single thread of commonality. We were Americans, and we're losing that fast. But anyway, I think of people coming together, pulling together, and helping the people who have suffered, the people who have lost. But what's happening today in the aftermath of Hurricane Helene? People from outside are looting. Yeah, they're going into the path of the storm and looting, robbing. The victims of the hurricanes are having to arm themselves if they're able to protect themselves from the people who are coming in to loot and rob them. Truck drivers bringing emergency supplies, medical supplies, and life-saving supplies and equipment in. They're having their tires slashed at rest stops and truck stops, just for the hell of it, I guess. And this is just a small instance compared to what we're talking about, an apocalypse. An apocalypse would be nationwide or global. Now, and these people doing these things aren't desperate. They're just having their regular day, but they see an opportunity to slash some tires or to put some people in a worse jam than they're already in by delaying their medical emergency equipment, or robbing them, stealing from the stores looting from the stores where these people can go and get food and stuff. They're taking advantage of it, of these golden opportunities. What will happen when these people are desperate? These people doing these things. What will happen when normal people are desperate? That's the question. When people become desperate, it'll be a madhouse. But it was really surprising to me to see this kind of behavior after a hurricane, after an emergency situation, for people that weren't involved in it, who weren't affected by it, taking advantage of the situation instead of offering aid and support to those who are suffering. That tells you the level to which society has sunk. Society isn't a portrait of patriotism and togetherness anymore. Just people being people. Take out the political and all that other crap, because of technology, the internet, and all this stuff. The way we have taken society and the way we think, the way the young people think, and all this stuff. Just the people being people. Everything's on the verge of meltdown. Everybody's just waiting for an opportunity to loot or rob or vandalize. And Hurricane Helene is absolute proof of that. I'm not just talking out my ass. It's happening right now. People are in dire need of help, and they're being robbed and denied what help is being offered by somebody just slashing tires and disrupting that chain of aid, that flow of aid into the area, just because they feel like it. The second reason that society will implode is because of the internet. Once people lose that, their entire, a lot of society now, their entire identity, their value of themselves is all wrapped up in this internet and these accounts, these personalities they've built on the internet. Without that, they're nothing. They have nothing. Nothing matters. They are, Gen X thinks. That's how the world views them. That's how they view themselves. That's how, that brand or whatever you want to call it, that dumb shit. And that goes all the way down to just Facebook accounts and stuff. You know what I mean? Twitter accounts, X accounts, Reddit, their entire TikTok, their entire identity is wrapped up in this virtual world. You take that away, and just the boredom and sense of loss will be a lot more profound than it will for us Gen Xers. We knew who we were before, or we were well on our way to figuring it out before the social media was ever invented. These young people today, they grew up with social media. It's how they identify themselves. It's who they are. It's what they do. And when you take that away, they're going to be completely bored out of their skulls and lost. And a lot of them are going to just do crazy shit just because. It's literally going to seem like the end of the world to them. Just the loss of the internet. Just if the grid went down. They will see that as the end of the world. Not just a change, a wanted and needed change like Gen X would see it, most of us anyway. They're gonna feel it like it's the end of the world, and they're gonna react that way. That's why I keep telling people to get out of highly populated areas in the beginning. As soon as you see it starting to melt down, just get out of there. It will not be safe. And the last reason is just, I touched on it earlier, but it's straight up just desperation. Because people don't understand what desperation does to you. That you've always been able to get, maybe you've been a few hours without food, but you've always been able to get something to eat, within a day or so, maybe the following day, whatever, if stuff was shut, whatever. That's not desperation. We've always got something to drink, something to eat, a roof over our heads, most of us. And so most people do not know what desperation is and what lengths a human being will go to when they are truly desperate. I don't know if there's a limit to it. People don't truly know themselves. You can look at the cutest, cuddliest animal that you've ever seen. You can get hungry enough to eat it. I don't care what you feel right now when you're sitting on your couch with a, bag of popcorn in your lap watching a video. That doesn't matter, because that's not who you are when you're desperate and you haven't eaten in a week and a half. People don't know themselves until they've become that desperate. All these vegans and PETA animal rights activists and all this stuff, and some of that stuff is great. I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying you don't know yourself. If you're in one of those categories, you don't know yourself. Because when it comes down to it, where the rubber meets the road, you're not going to care. You're not going to care whose animal that was, what its name was, what you will not care. It is food. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. They think they have a lot of willpower because they're not doing anything right now while everything's fine. But when the shit hits the fan and everything's not fine anymore, that's when people find out how much willpower they have. And a lot of times it takes will to continue on. You need willpower to struggle on, to endure until you can find that next source of food or water or whatever it is. We think that we'll make it. We think everything, but when it gets hard, when times really get difficult, that's when you find out. That's when you find out whether you're the type of person who curls up in a corner and just prays for it to end, or you're the type of person who finds the strength to get up and walk out the door and find something better. No matter what's out there, no matter what you have to fight through, no matter what you have to endure. And that goes back to that old saying, tough times make strong men. That's exactly what that is. Because the strong men survive. The strong people survive. The people with the will to survive will survive. So a lot of us, I think of society in the terms of the way it used to be, what we remember. Because we've kind of disassociated with it because it's so much crazy bullshit nowadays. So we kind of disassociate ourselves with it. And then we see something like this or hear about something like this. Actually, people going in after a hurricane strikes and looting and slashing the tires of the trucks sent in there to help. That's where society really is right now in relatively decent times. That's where society really is. So take it about, 50 or 60 steps further into apocalyptic times and see where society is. See how this society would act. It just takes a little imagination. And I'll leave you there with that. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like, subscribe, and comment. If you'd like to support the channel, you can do so by clicking on that super thanks button down there. I appreciate that. Thank you to those of you who do that. Or you can hop over to Buy Me a Cup of Coffee and buy me a cup of coffee. I'll put that link down in the description. We've also got some really cool stuff over there on Redbubble, Gen X and Gen X Thinks branded gear. T-shirts, coffee mugs, sweaters, all kinds of cool stuff over there. If you're interested in that, I'll put that link down in the description as well. If you can't or don't want to support the channel in any of those ways, you can always do so by sharing these videos on your social media. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. It helps out a lot. And if you have any ideas for future episodes of Gen X Thinks, please put those down in the comments. Or you can email us, and the email's over on the channel page. And as always, stay frosty, Gen X, and I'll see you on the next one.